welcome to another vlog. You can see right now, I am in a car. And not only that, I'm not driving. So not only that, it means I'm not alone. I am here with Kristen.
Hello.
Guys, she has been on once before, but for anyone who doesn't know what she does, who she is, she's our traffic anchor. So Kristen, tell us a little bit about what you do. Like what even is that?
So usually I'm keeping an eye on all the roads, so it's constantly changing and making sure everyone gets to work on time. So people kind of checking in before they leave, and I'm letting them know where there's traffic, where there's a crash, if they need a detour. And other than that, we do a lot of fun stuff in the morning. So
well, yeah, she does so much like entertainment,
yes,
lifestyle. It's actually really cool. So part of my channel, guys, lately I've been wanting to show you guys what it's like to be on air, what it's like to be in this industry, to get in this industry, and the person you want to talk to is Kristen, because she took an interesting route into the industry. Kristen, we were talking a little bit about it actually yesterday, or today. Oh my god, wait, that's so weird. That was this morning on our way to the shoot.
Like
so we're coming back, we're coming back from a shoot right now that we were doing live shots this morning. Kristen, I want you to kind of just tell them your journey into this life. Like, just tell us everything.
I went to college. I knew this is what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to like record, get into broadcasting and stuff like that. So kind of went in seeking it out, and I went to the University of Toledo, and they have a small broadcasting program, but it's small in number of people and the number of teachers, but they're so great. So it's really like hands-on. You know what I mean? So I got to like work really closely with my professors and all that good stuff. So I graduated. We did a communication degree. Did you do that?
Yeah, communication, broadcast journalism.
Yeah, so we did a communication, and then you picked like one of 4 areas of specialization, PR, newspaper, whatever you wanted. I chose broadcast journalism, obviously. So learned the ins and outs. I wanted to be on air, but it's pretty hard to find a job right out of school, you know? It's
tell us about that. What steps did you take?
So, you know, honestly, it's all about who you know. I mean, I know you hear that all the time, but I'll tell you how I got this job and you'll understand. So I was kind of, you know, applying to different things, getting some interviews. I had no idea where I wanted to go, which was my main problem. So I didn't really have, you know, I didn't point myself in a direction. So I was kind of striking out a little bit, and I went to a job interview out at a smaller Ohio station, and it went really well, but it didn't end up being a good fit for me, just given my trying to line up my life with my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. Actually, he was my fiance at the time.
Oh, so you guys were the real deal.
So we were engaged.
Guys, they met in high school, just saying.
Yes. Insert the I hate that. So I ended up not being able to take that job, but I'm glad I went, because that news director was really great and knew that I wanted to get into the industry, and he actually knew someone at our current Dayton station who no longer works there. She was one of the managers at the time. She called me and she's like, I know you just interviewed out at this station for an on-air position. She said, well, we have a position here if you're looking to stay in your hometown, which is Dayton for me. It's a producer position, so it's behind the scenes, so not exactly what I wanted. But I ended up taking it because it was a good opportunity in my hometown, and I could live with my parents, save some money.
Yes. Oh, think about how much you saved.
Student loans, you know, you have to take that into consideration when you're looking at jobs. So yeah, I ended up doing that, and so I worked for about 3 years as a producer behind the scenes.
When I started work, she was a producer.
Yes. So which wasn't what I wanted to do, but I, you know, decided, you know, let me just learn the ins and outs and see what happens. And I'm really glad I did, because now I know like everything that goes into putting on a show. So now that I worked my way to being on air, I now know what the people in the studio are doing.
That's
right?
so true.
So I kind of know what makes a good reporter and what makes a not so great reporter. I guess I could say that better. What frustrates a producer.
Yeah.
Which is probably everything I did today. But yeah, so I took kind of a different route. If you want to do something, you know, you just kind of have to make it work. I know I had to work really hard. I worked on the weekends. I practiced in front of the camera a lot.
How did you first were you ever nervous to vocalize to your coworkers?
Yeah, I was really nervous, because you don't really know how it's going to be perceived, you know?
Yeah.
It took me a while. Like, I kind of like got myself acclimated before I brought it up, and it was received pretty well, I think. And then, you know, eventually everyone was super helpful. Elise helped me a lot.
Elise is like so helpful.
Yeah, you know, just helping me like establish my own presence. I think that's the hardest thing, is like, you know, it takes a while. You kind of emulate what you see, but that's not exactly what works for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And so for a while, it took me a while to kind of find my own presence, and then I think I'm a lot more confident now.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Doing that, you know?
You are killing it.
Yeah.
No, really.
But I think it takes everyone a second, you know, you kind of have to, your first few lives, like last week I was like, in the field because I had no idea what I was doing.
So tell them about how different the field is from the studio.
Oh.
The field means we're like out anywhere, like at a high school or out and about.
It's really hard. So in the studio, there's like 8 cameras staring at you. Not necessarily, but 8 cameras looking at you. There's a red light telling when you're on TV. You can see all of your other anchors. You know, you have a floor director telling you exactly where you need to be. So you never have to plan it out, right? You just have to think about what you're gonna say. Coming out here is like terrifying for me because A, I can't see what I look like on camera. So that is like taking a comfort zone away from me out in the field. And then we have to create what we're doing. So for us, that's making high schoolers awake at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a lot different. So in the studio, it's kind of done for me and I just am going where I need to be. And in this situation, you're kind of making your own rules and being very creative as we've had to do.
Yes, creativity is huge. Just like mapping out, like, hey, you're gonna be here, you're gonna be here, you're not, like, it is. And like plus today, like, it's a little difficult controlling like how many people were there. Like
people there.
50, yeah. Oh, I freaking love this song, Girls Like You. Girl like you, yeah.
It's so hard. Like you just have to make it up, and like in the studio it's mindless, right? Like I just go where I need to go.
Yeah.
And having to keep track, because it's your responsibility to be ready for our hits, you know what I mean? And they sneak up on you.
The thing I notice about our industry is no one realizes how hard everyone's job is. Everyone, like, you don't realize how hard, like, oh my god, the producer and the director and like all you're thinking about is yourself until like you go and do someone else's thing and you're like, oh wait, they actually have a difficult job.
Exactly. Like last week when I did it for the first time, I was like, what's happening? And you don't really know, like, we were kind of running into like, should I start talking? Like, it's hard because the camera's not always looking at me, so like I forget to talk. And then you don't even know what the heck it looked like. You're like, did that look good? I don't know.
Honestly, I've been getting really bad where I'm like, I feel like everything just looked terrible and I won't even watch back my hits anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just like, honestly, I don't need the confidence saddener. But it's really bad because you should watch back your hits because that makes you get better.
Yep.
That's the way to get better. So what would you say surprised you the most about just this industry in general?
I did a few internships, so it wasn't too much a surprise. I would say the day-to-day is kind of what's most intense. When you're a producer, and sometimes when you're a reporter, your work kind of stays at work. Kind of. Not so much when you're a reporter. I think you're doing a lot outside of work hours, aren't you? Like kind of planning. Yeah. As a producer, you know, you're working like high stress. I think that was surprising. You know, you're white knuckle typing for 8 hours, right? And trying to be creative, and then you do your show, you plan out next day, and then you go home. Your work stays at work, which for a lot of people, I know my husband's in sales, he like wishes that were the case for him, right? Because he's constantly working. So that's kind of a plus I didn't think about producing wise. And for the most part in my current job, that is the case. I do more outside of work now than I used to, planning out guests and things like that, but not nearly as much as you guys do. A lot of work outside of work.
Oh my god, the work outside of work. I feel like I'm literally just always after work on my couch answering emails, calling people, especially with our hours. People don't realize when they call me at like 4:30, like, oh wait, I'm actually going to bed in a couple hours. Like this is not 4:30 for me.
I think the hours surprised me.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got offered the job, I was a morning show producer, so the current show, and they didn't tell me what time I would be going into work initially. So I was like, okay, so I'm doing like the 5 o'clock show. And so like, I remember talking to my parents, they're like, so when do you go into work? Like 3 a.m.? And I was like, yeah, probably. And I was like, that's not that bad. No, I was supposed to come in at 11 o'clock p.m. and work until 7 or 8 or 9, whatever I did that day. So that was kind of surprising. Yeah, I didn't expect to be working 3rd shift.
It's intense. I mean, that's intense. Like, I've never done that. My shift is 3:30 to whatever, like, or 3 o'clock technically I come in, but like, coming in at 11 p.m., that's like different. That's like a whole other, that's not early, that's just like swap. It's like a life swap.
I think some people can make it work. I did it for a year and a half. It didn't work well for me. It was hard. I called myself a zombie because I was just constantly tired, you know. And
what about, how was that with Ryan, her husband? Like, did you bring those on different like pages, or was that when you guys were long distance, or?
For part of it, but for the second half, we moved in together when I was like wrapping up. It was probably about maybe a year that I did.
Was that difficult?
It was hard. Yeah, I mean, I kind of slept while he was working. I did it a couple different ways. I changed it up all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would sleep from like 12 to 7 and call it a day. That was what worked best for me. I would sleep from like 12 to like 5 or 6. I would get up, make dinner, have dinner, and then go back to sleep and then get up. So I would take like a nap. It's messed up, but I did that. For a while I slept all the way through. Like I would do like a full night's sleep, and I would go to sleep from like, what did I do? I would get up at like 7 or 8, and I'd pretty much be up already and then go to work. So I would be up for 2 hours and then go to work. That was hard.
That's insane.
The only plus is that for so long I didn't have an alarm, because then I worked like night side and day side. I didn't have to, like, my alarm would go off and I would still, like, even if I woke up I'd have to be at work at 10. If my alarm went off at like 7 or 8, I could like chill out for a while and then go to work, right? So when I switched to this shift, this was the first time in 3 years that I had to wake up to an alarm and immediately go to work.
That's so interesting.
That actually, I actually hate that because I got so used to like just waking up, chilling out, and then going to work.
But I bet you get more time to yourself than now after.
Yes, I mean I'm used to it now, but that was like that was an adjustment. I had to actually get used to waking up to an alarm and going to work.
How did they tell you the traffic position? Like, were you ever thinking about becoming an MMJ reporter?
Well, kind of, but I mean, the previous person that was a traffic anchor at our station, Natalie, I was friends with her, and she actually brought it up to me first. She was like, you should take over when I leave. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. That might work out time-wise, because I would have like a year to like get ready. I had been practicing probably 8 months before I actually got the position.
Wow.
I think that's probably when I was.
Yeah, when I was interviewing here in May of 2017, you were practicing.
Yeah, and then oh yeah, so it might have even been closer to almost a year. And then I started filling in that fall. So like about this time last year, I was filling in for her, and then I took over in March.
Kristen just been such a great presence though on the morning show.
Oh.
Seriously, she's just so nice. Like, always in a good mood. Like, it's just great. And her desk is like right across from mine, diagonal. So
It is.
it's wonderful. It's been great. It really has been.
I've had fun.
So tomorrow I'm working dayside. I'm like, dayside? Like, which is like literally a normal freaking shift. 10 to 7 is pretty normal. Yet I'm like, that's so weird. Like, what? Like, so it's gonna be weird, but you get used to it. I know, it'll be nice. Except sleep in. I feel like my body doesn't let me.
Do you wake up at 3 a.m. subconsciously, or whenever you get up?
Yep.
Every once in a while I do.
I wake up even on the weekends, but most of the time I can fall back asleep. Last Saturday I couldn't.
Really?
So I went out really late that night too. So I was out from 3 to probably 3 the next morning.
See, I have like a cutoff. Like, I've noticed if on like Saturdays and Fridays, I have to like, when I start to get tired, like around 9 or 10, I can like push through to like 11-ish. But if I like start to stay up and I'm up anywhere past midnight, something snaps in me and I'm like wide awake.
We're going hard!
You know? Like, and I'm like, oh God, now I'm not gonna be able to sleep because I'm gonna like click into work mode. It's so bizarre.
It's so funny. It's so weird how our bodies like adapt, adjust, do these weird things.
Is.
But they do.
It's amazing actually.
It's amazing what you do, body. Thank you.
It is.
Wow, this was such a great little conversational. Thank you so much, Kristen, for letting us in on your life.
Welcome.
I'm sure we'll be checking back in with more updates on your life and more wisdom, because she is just full of the wisdom.
Am I?
She is. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Bye, guys. I just like hit myself in the face.